This is Valley News Live at 10.
Good evening, I'm Justin Benny. Traffic was even more of a mess than usual this afternoon in and around Moorhead after a deadly crash involving two semis and a small SUV. This all happened in the westbound lanes of I-94 near mile marker 2 in Minnesota around 2 this afternoon. The backup lasted for hours. We now know at least one person died. Minnesota State Patrol says the names of those involved will be released on Sunday. It's the second straight day now where there has been a bad crash in roughly this same area. As traffic often quickly slows to a crawl because of road construction. Today, Valley News Team's Alex Larson spoke to frustrated drivers and shows us just how long it takes to get around these days.
The traffic has been horrendous as of recently. I find it hard to get to work on times, in the morning because of construction and whatnot. But you know what they say about us having 5 seasons.
And those 5 seasons are...
Well, you got winter, you got fall, you got spring, you got summer, and you got construction. So not all, not in that order necessarily.
Construction season impacts lots of people, and especially if you're trying to get east from Fargo, it can seem like it will never end.
Can't get anywhere. Those trucks, they're just everywhere. They're so slow. Can't get around them. It takes 20 minutes to get somewhere.
I timed how long it takes to just get from exit to exit. I went onto the interstate on University Drive at around 5 p.m. And to get to Main Avenue in Moorhead, it took almost 15 minutes. Again, that's just time spent on the interstate.
Yeah, I think we need to make a separate highway or separate road for trucks and semis.
Let's get either tunnels or roads that go above other roads, I think would be the solution.
In the meantime, while we wait for another construction season to pass, MNDOT says to obey the speed limits, stay alert, and watch for construction workers so everyone can make it home safely. In Moorhead, Alex Larson, Valley News Live.
According to MNDOT officials, drivers should expect delays on I-94 in this area until about August 19th, so just over 1 month from now. Taking a look outside this evening, we have some pretty remnants of a sunset gearing up for a hot weekend ahead. First Alert Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson joins us now with details. Hutch.
Indeed, a fine view from our Luther Family Ford view in south of Fargo of that gorgeous sky right now. And this morning we started out with those overnight showers that were quite heavy, almost 2 inches in Fargo, and we climbed the ladder up here 4 to 4.5 inches reported in gauges in Grandin as well as in Hunter. And here's a look at the radar estimates of where the rain fell in between those gauges. So you can see parts of Trail County and northern and central Cass County getting the bullseye of that rain, and it extended into Lakes Country here. More rain works this way from the Crookston and Grand Forks area right through Fisher and into parts of southern Clearwater County. Now we do have strong storms out in eastern Montana. They're a long ways away, but they are on the way as we head through the overnight. I'll have hour-by-hour details on when they arrive and who has the best chance at seeing them. Temperatures mid-70s for most, still in the upper 80s and in Glasgow, Montana. Your planner for tonight, temperatures in the 70s, dropping down into the 60s. Increasing high clouds overnight, light winds, and then by morning we'll have a chance for some rumbles of thunder here and there. We'll have details on this. A few of these storms could be strong, but the risk of severe is low. And we'll talk about our hot weather ahead, Justin, in a moment.
All right, thanks, Hutch. The downtown Fargo Street Fair continued tonight, and as the temperatures rise, folks are trying to find ways to beat the heat while still having fun.
We saw the forecast and it was going to be warm, so as you can see, we brought a little bit of water over here, and we're also giving some water out to all those people who are stopping by and need some water. So we're just canopy, shade, and just trying to stay cool.
Sounds like a plan. The street fair continues through tomorrow. Tonight, the first horse races of the year were held at North Dakota Horse Park in Fargo. The heat, again, is a factor, not just the horses, but jockeys and fans. So if you are planning to go out, stay hydrated. Racing continues tomorrow, then again next Friday and Saturday. Now to a story that came in through our whistleblower hotline. Several people in the area told us they had to prepay all of a sudden to make an appointment or receive services at Essentia Health. We looked into it. Essentia tells us it was just a technology glitch that they're working to fix immediately. It wasn't intentional. One patient mentioned she had to prepay for services, then found out it was covered by health insurance, but it did take her quite some time for the money to be reimbursed. Essentia has since issued an apology. You can read their full statement on our website, valleynewslive.com, or the VNL News app. Dilworth officers are looking for your help trying to identify this man seen on your screen right now. They haven't said what they're looking for him for, but if you can help, you can give them a call at 218-287-2666. New tonight, this week, a Facebook page said it'd be exposing drag performers who will be at the All Ages Can't Drag Us Down show tomorrow. The show's producer, Kyle Anderson, says he tried to host an all-ages drag show in the past as well, but it was met by people giving threats to their safety. Anderson is a drag performer. His persona is Tequila Mockingbird. He says even though the negativity for drag is not as frequent or as much as it used to be, he says in the end, any hate just brings performers closer.
It's just a fun event. And there's so many kids out there that need an outlet. And drag can be one of those outlets. In this crazy messed up world, you can put on your makeup and kind of like your armor, and you can face the world.
The show will go on. It'll be at the Fargo Elks tomorrow at 8 o'clock. A new report shows a record number of Minnesotans died of drug overdoses last year. The Department of Health reports nearly 1,300 people succumbed to overdoses in 2021. That's up 22% from the year before. Health officials say most of those deaths were attributed to fentanyl. The Department of Health has resources available to help prevent deaths and overdoses. President Biden has approved the request for a major disaster declaration for 15 counties and 4 tribal nations in northern Minnesota impacted by severe weather from late April to early June. Remember the late snow and then all that rain and flooding. The declaration was originally sent June 23rd. This federal disaster declaration helps unlock public assistance for counties and tribal nations to assist with emergency work and the repair or replacement of damaged facilities. Today, President Joe Biden met with the Saudi Crown Prince as part of his Middle East tour. The president's trying to mend relations with a leader he once called a pariah. I was following the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Biden's now encouraging the Saudis to pump more oil. The country is also one of the few remaining allies of Russia. Earlier this week, President Biden met with Mexico's president as part of an effort to curb mass migration along our southern border. A record number of people are trying to cross this year. Priscilla Alvarez has details from the border near Yuma, Arizona.
Mass migration is landing at the U.S. doorstep. With conditions getting worse in their countries of origin, migrants are arriving in droves, relieved as they cross the border. Sometimes the situation at home eliminates any possibilities, she says. In this part of the border, U.S. authorities arrest up to 1,000 migrants daily. The influx is an alarming trend, made even more difficult by the nationalities of the people crossing the border. Here, past midnight in Yuma, hundreds of migrants have already crossed into the U.S. and turned themselves over to Border Patrol. They come from a range of countries, including as far as Russia, and they all, after speaking with them, have said the same thing. They are looking for a better life here in the United States. Yuma Border Patrol Sector Chief Chris Clem described the situation as dynamic.
We were having countries from Mexico, Central America, things that we could process and take their biometric data and put them in removal proceedings and or return them back to Mexico. The countries we're receiving now, those nationalities are flying in, arriving to the border, and they're having to be processed, and there's just so many of them that it is posing a challenge to the workforce.
Authorities can turn back migrants at the southwest border back to Mexico or their home countries under a Trump-era pandemic rule known as Title 42, but it doesn't apply to everyone. That, coupled with frosty relations with countries like Venezuela and Cuba, keeps the U.S. from removing certain people, meaning they might be released while going through immigration proceedings.
We continue to add to the processing and the humane care of the migrants in custody.
The pace of people journeying north presents a steep challenge for President Biden, and one he raised with Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador this week.
Like us, Mexico has become a top destination.
The U.S. has looked to countries further south for help, including Costa Rica, where many migrants travel through. An agreement between the two, obtained by CNN, outlines commitments to strengthen enforcement, exchange information on migrant flows, and stabilize host communities. But Biden continues to face political pressure from Republicans who say he's not doing enough. Arizona Governor Doug Ducey signed legislation to shore up funds for border security, and following the example set by Texas, has sent 25 buses with migrants to Washington, D.C. Even so, people continue to come, with hope of a new life on the horizon.